Some highly intelligent students often mistake Pecha Kucha for Pikachu. In reality, the two are not similar at all. Pikachu is a small Pokemon creature with tiny arms and legs, red cheeks, and big ears. A Pecha Kucha, on the other hand, is a slide presentation emphasizing pictures to aid ideas within a lecture. My lesson plan is designed around 10th grade English standards. It is an English lesson with an emphasis on writing, which just so happens to be my favorite subject of all time. The focus of my lesson is on both pre-writing and plan writing as a way to generate ideas. There are lots of standards that go in line with this lesson, including editing texts, produces drafts, revises to improve text, writes in a variety of forms and genres, lots of things. But in this lesson, I am focusing on standard 1.1, and which is pre-writes to generate ideas and plan writing. During this lesson, I want to teach students how to create and use a pre-writing web to help generate ideas for a writing assignment, and put a plan into place to help organize those ideas. By the end of this unit, students will be able to pre-write and construct a plan for any given writing assignment. While things certainly can be lost in the translation of actions, I find that actions are much more universal than words. Choosing a cartoon that doesn't use language was important to me to accommodate ELL students. Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner cartoons can be followed without a mastery of the English language. The lesson begins with me climbing up on a desk like Robin Williams in the Dead Poets Society, and then doing a backflip off the desk to engage my classroom. It's either that, or I just express what I expect the students to accomplish. Option 2 would include a brief overview of the lesson, plan's 2 sections, lists, and cartoons. I start by asking students to use a maximum of 1 minute to write down everything they have or could use a list for. In this, I'm building the idea of lists so I can relate them to a pre-write web. After the minute is through, I ask the students to blurt out their ideas as I write up their examples on the whiteboard for everyone to see. I will pick grocery lists as my focus. If nobody mentions grocery lists, I will sneakily write it down anyway while students are blurting out answers. Haha. I ask students to write down what they want for dinner, including 5 to 10 things at the grocery store that would be essential for the meal. I give the students 2 minutes to come up with their lists. The grocery list is supposed to simulate a pre-write. After the students have finished their lists, I will use a banana split model as the meal I want for dinner. From that, I can web out the individual items I will need on the whiteboard: bananas, ice cream, toppings like chocolate, whipped cream, and cherries. This is a basic opening to the idea of a pre-writing web. After writing down my list, I ask students to help me come up with the most efficient plan for my trip to the grocery store, using the store map on the whiteboard. As a class, we discuss different ideas from students, and together we outline a plan for the grocery store visit. I focus on efficiency and details that aren't mentioned in class. When we are finished with my writing plan, I give the students 3 minutes to come up with an original plan for their own shopping spree. I emphasize that there's no correct plan of action as long as there's a reason for each step during the process. I want the students to be able to get back to this idea when making a writing plan in the future. If 3 minutes isn't enough, I'll give a couple more minutes. Next, I will give the students 2 minutes to share their grocery shopping list and plan with a partner sitting next to them. This could help for a number of reasons, but most importantly, it gives students a chance to share what they've created. Even between guinea pigs, sharing is very important. Part 2 of the lesson plan begins with watching a short clip of a Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner cartoon. After the clip is through, I ask the students to write what happened during the cartoon. I give them 1 minute. As a class, we watch the clip one more time and students are allowed to add to their free write. I will then ask the students to help me formulate a plan for the cartoon using their free writes. We'll talk about how the characters were introduced, how they acted, and other actions noted by the students. The goal is to create a plan that outlines the cartoon well enough that someone who didn't watch it could still understand what happened. You might think that building a plan based off a finished product is backwards in the writing process. It definitely is backwards, but sometimes seeing the final product can make understanding the beginning stages of a process much easier to comprehend. That's my goal here. After we've generated a plan for the first cartoon clip, students will watch a new Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner cartoon. We'll watch the clip twice. Like the first cartoon, I'll give students 1 minute to free write about what happened. After the second viewing, students will be allowed to change their free write and add anything they saw. To finish the lesson, I ask students to complete the following assignments. Write a plan for the second cartoon clip that we watched, and write a small paragraph explaining the trip to the grocery store. Students are allowed to work on this quietly until the class period is over. I will walk around helping students who have any questions. All students will be asked to turn in their papers at the beginning of class the next time we meet. Students will get credit for completing each assignment. Students will be graded based on a rubric assessing only the understanding and the application of plan writing. I have a couple ideas for further assessment. The first is asking students to come up with an original plan for a Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner cartoon. Another is for an essay question, requiring each student to get a pre-write web and then a writing plan checked off before they can continue on with the essay. That concludes my lesson plan. I used high-tech technology. This is because I don't think the lesson could be reproduced without the use of YouTube, a computer or television, and a DVD player. I hope you enjoyed my Pecha Kucha.